right, hello everyone, Black Emerald here, and yeah, welcome to episode 2 of the team's showcase. This time it's not so much a community-themed team like it was last time. This is actually a team that I actually requested a suggestion from regular viewer Justin, and what he gave me is mostly in what I have here. So, the team here, we have Galvantula, aka Spydar. If you know, you know. We got a Hydrapple, Samurott, Zebstrika, Toucanon, and Gronbel. Now, Samurott is not what he initially suggested to me. Originally, he suggested Kingdra, but I do not have, like, a Kingdra on hand. I still haven't gotten Kingdra on my main, like, solo file. So, also, that would have given me, like, 2 dragons. So, I opted to give it a bit of a change to a Samurott, just to keep the extra water typing for coverage, but that gave me some dark type for a little extra coverage. So, yeah. With that, just like before, we'll go ahead and we'll get into the battles, and I'll do the team breakdown at the end. Alright, so let's get into this first battle here against Kiara. Now, they lead off on their side with the Shaman Sky form, which is kind of neat to see and very rare. And I go ahead and pop Spydar the Galvantula. Now, my first thought was, I need to get the webs up. I was pretty confident I could handle whatever, Shaman threw at me. So I go ahead and I pop the sticky web, which it's nice to know that I'm faster. So they're going to go ahead and pop Growth, which raises their attack and their special attack. But my next move is the good old Thunder Wave, because I don't want them to stay any faster. That Shaman could have actually really done some damage, I'm sure. But anyway, so after that, it gets paralyzed, which is always a godsend when, like, they can't move. So then I go ahead and it's like, okay, I'm popping the Thunder. And with Galvantula's special attack plus the combination of Compound Eyes, I mean, that thing it is a beast. So I'm going for the Thunder again, because I don't know what they're going to do, if they can do anything. And they just sat here forever. It's kind of the equivalent of what I would, like timer stalling on Showdown, because there are some people that just get mad and do that. And that's a scumball tactic. But I mean, if you're actually taking that time to, like, properly think and plan, that's fine. So I go ahead and here comes the Thunder again. And that Shaman is just gone. So the next thing I got to pop here is good old Arceus. And I was just kind of concerned because, like, is it fire or is it ground? Because if it's ground, I'm a little stuffed. So I go for the Thunder Wave to test the waters. And of course, since it hits, it's like, okay, you're fire. And that kind of cripples it. Just a little bit. Although I haven't even found the plates around. But anyway, so next move here is to go ahead and go for the Thunder, because I had no idea what I was about to face. And they pop Judgment. I mean, I guess predictably so, really, because that is a strong move. And that, kids, is why you have Focus Sash. So I go ahead and I go for another Thunder, and they get paralyzed ahead of me, which tells me they went for the E-Speed. I mean, Galvantula really went ham this fight for the little bit he was out there. And, of course, there's the E-Speed that takes out the Galvantula. So my next thought was, okay, let's get Samurott out there. I can survive whatever it's going to throw at me. At least that was the hope. So I waffled from him. It's like, you know what? Swords Dance, if I survive, great. The Salac Berry should kick in. So there's the Swords Dance. A nice, wonderful boost. And then the Arceus got paralyzed again. So I went, okay, I'm going to capitalize on this. I was going for the Ceaseless Edge. But they they DC'd. So, thank you, Kiara, for the fight. Now, moving on to the second fight of the night, we have one against Ace Doyle. Now, this one was a fun one. So, they're going to go ahead and they're going to lead off with Rotom Wash. And I'm going with, again, Spidar. Now, that Rotom Wash was a huge pain in my butt. Now, since I'm not going to be able to do much to it, I go ahead and I just pop the Sticky Web, as per usual. And it's a Trick Rotom. So, I wasn't expecting that. Most Rotoms are Assault Rotoms, so seeing a Trick Rotom is actually kind of nice. And they end up with my Focus Sash, which sucks. So, I was just like, you know, I'm not going to be able to do much. I was like, let's go with the Bug Buzz. And they swapped. And in comes the Rillaboom, and it was just like, this couldn't have been a better swap in. Because that was basically just a free, like, grassy surge. Because Bug Buzz absolutely annihilates it. So down goes the Rillaboom. It didn't even get a chance to do anything. I'm assuming they just figured it was a standard support Galvantula. So in comes the Pelipper. And my first thought is, okay, this is a weird matchup. But I went ahead and it's like, okay, I don't know what it can do. I'm going to go to the Zebstrika. That's got a little bit more oomph to its attack. And it's a setup Pelipper. So it goes ahead and pops the Tailwind, which warns me, okay, they're trying to make sure that they're faster than whatever I've got. So I go ahead and I was going to go with the Thunderbolt, and they pull the Pelipper out. So it literally was just, you know, in, speed up, and then bounce. But I found out later that that wasn't entirely the case. Oh no, it was Volt Switch I went with. I'm sorry, screen's a little fuzzy. So Zebstrika comes back to me. And we're going ahead and going into the, I believe I went back into Galvantula. Yeah. Mostly just because Galvantula served his purpose. And if I could hit it with a Thunder Wave, that would slow it down even more. I didn't want his stuff being able to outspeed mine. And of course, Draco Meteor is just going to absolutely melt Galvantula. So, looking at the whole situation, I went, no, maybe it's time to go ahead and bring in the Hydrapple. So the general goal with the Hydrapple is to get it in there, and because it's, especially if I'm popping it against a dragon, I know they're going to try to go for a dragon move. So I go ahead and I pop the Terra Grass and pop a Substitute, just to keep it alive. At least that was the hope. And they withdrew the Duraludon, or excuse me, Archaludon. And the Rotom comes back in. So I'm just concerned what it's going to do to me. Because I'm expecting either another Trick, or a Thunder Wave, or something. So we've got the Terrastal up. We go ahead and we pop the Substitute. And the combination of the grassy terrain and the leftovers really helped drag my health back up. And just like that, it just vanishes off the board. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Nasty Plot because I want this thing to hit as hard as I can make it. And it pops Foul Play, which I'm pretty sure that goes based off of one's, like, physical attack, which makes me wonder if there are physical Hydrapples out there people are running on the regular. So we get the Nasty Plot up, which is a nice boost to our special attack, and of course the leftovers help bring us back up, you know, closer to full health. So the next option here is just go with the Giga Drain, and once again, another Foul Play, which, you know, I don't know if they realize that I've already seen their trick, and I'm pretty sure it gave Galvantula or Spidar choice specs. There's that Focus Satch coming in, like, for them this time around. But next hit is just going to go ahead and absolutely, like, wipe them off the board, so I don't care what happens here. And they go for the trick, which tells me, oh, they're just going to try and take my leftovers and leave me high and dry. Which, I mean, is smart. Like, if they can take my leftovers and leave me stuck to where I can't, like, gain a little bit of health back every turn, it's not bad. But now that Rotom's gone, it's not so much a pain on my butt anymore. Then they sat here for a minute. I was just kind of like, okay, what are they bringing out next? Because, you know, they would be crazy to bring in the Archaludon. And they brought in the Pelipper again. So I was just kind of like, okay, we need to get this thing out of here. But I went ahead and popped the substitute, thinking, okay, you know, and they popped Terrastal. A grass-type Pelipper, which that took me for a minute. That wasn't what I was expecting at all. But it's not a proper Assault Pelipper, so. And yeah, I got hit with the Hurricane, got confused, and I didn't have the health to pop another substitute. So that was a little unfortunate. So I just kind of was like, okay, nothing matters here. I'm just going for the full Fickle Beam Blast here. Because I'm like, okay, I'm going to end up losing Hydrapple. That's fine. And they withdrew the Pelipper. Because I figured they probably thought I was either going to go with, like, Giga Drain or something. And the Archaludon comes in. So I'm like, please hit, please hit, please hit, please hit. And I break through the confusion, and the Fickle Beam absolutely nukes the Archaludon. Which I fully wasn't expecting, but. So now all that should be left is that Pelipper. Yeah, it's that Terrastal Pelipper. And a Pelipper built well can be bulky. And of course it pops its Drizzle, which means Hurricane will hit. So at this point it's like, okay, I'm not beating this thing. So I just pop the Giga Drain to, you know, go out with mercy. And there goes the Hydrapple. It did good this fight. So next I look and I go, okay, I'm bringing in the Toucannon. Because I hadn't had a chance to use it yet. Like, okay, this is going to work out very, very well. So I bring in the Toucannon, and I go ahead and I pop the Tailwind, which they did the exact same thing. So we both had that thought of, okay, I want to be faster than the other guy. So because he went first, that tells me already, like, his was faster. So I go ahead and I pop the U-turn. Because, you know, the thought is, okay, what can I get now? What can I get out here that's going to be faster? And I was surprised that I actually lived. Like, I didn't think Toucannon was actually really that bulky, but color me shocked. So I go ahead and I switch out here, and the first thought is, I'm going to go right into the Gronbolt. So, Gronbolt comes out, Toxic Orb activates, which gives me my nice Quick Feet boost. And so I'm just like, okay, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go straight for the Play Rough. And thanks to the Tailwind plus the Quick Feet, that made me faster, and that thing is gone. That thing could have been a real hassle. And it is a bit of a risky play going with Toxic Orb instead of something else, but, you know. All right, so finally they're going to bring in the Urshifu here. And I was looking like, okay, is this Surging Strikes or is this Brutal Strike or whatever the dark one is? And that gave me my confirmation. It was, in fact, the Water type. And there was no way I was walking out of this one. Because even with everything, Groundbolt's not going to be faster than it, but I still was like, okay, you know what, if by some miracle I am, then we're just going to go ahead and, you know, play rough. So finally, I go ahead and I decide, you know what, screw it. I'm going into the Zebstrika. I think I got this one in the bag. pop in the Zebstrika, and right there, good old Thunderbolt. And the Urshifu goes down, which I was very, very surprised over. I was expecting it to live with like just a little bit of health. And of course, the Zebstrika's life orb, so you know I want that extra bit of damage. And finally, here comes the Poliwhirl. So I wasn't sure what this was going to do, so I went ahead and went with Thunderbolt. Just try and get some extra damage off. And it, you know, the life orb, you know, plus that just doesn't do it. So it finishes me off with Liquidation. So there goes the Zebstrika. And finally, I'm sitting there looking, it's like, okay, I've got Samurott and Toucannon. Toucannon survived a hurricane. Let's see what it can do here. So pop the old Toucannon. And I just was like, Drill Peck. This thing's water fighting. Drill Peck. And it survived the Ice Punch, which I was very, very shocked over. But, I mean, damn, that got me the win right there. So, I'm not going to argue. So, thank you, Ace Doyle, for the battle. That was a fun one. All right, we got our third battle here against Dan. Now, I took a look at his stuff in the team UI, and I'm like, oh, you're a legendary spammer. Oh, this is going to be fun. So they go ahead and they pop the Deoxys Speed first thing right out the gate, and I go ahead and I pop Spidar. Because, you know, it's a great lead. So first thought here is, okay, I need to slow this thing down. So I go ahead and I get ready to pop the Thunder Wave, and they pop the Psyshock. That's a Psycho Booster. And of course, Thunder Wave hits, which really cripples the Deoxys Speed. So the next thought was, okay, if I'm faster than it now, I can go ahead and I can pop the webs, which will slow anything else that comes in down. And I'm faster. So great. Spidar did exactly what he was built to do. So they're going to hit me with another Psyshock, which, of course, is going to go ahead and take out Spidar. But that's okay. He did what he was supposed to. So next, I'm looking, I go, okay, I'm going to switch into the Samurott because I need to scare this thing out of here, which will give me a free Swords Dance. So I go ahead and I set up for Swords Dance, and as predicted, they go ahead and they pull the Deoxys out. And they switch into Terapagos, which I wasn't expecting that specific switch in, but, I mean, I'll take it. So I go ahead and there's my free Swords Dance. Because if I can get the Terapagos out of here, especially if that's the one they decide to, which it was, to use their Terastal on, then as long as I can get it out of here, we're good. So they pop the Terastal Terapagos, and it's kind of cool seeing basically Turtle Stack. Of course, I managed to do some serious damage with that, and they're going to get their boosted Terra Starfall, which I was confident I would survive, and I did. And I was faster, so I already knew, okay, I've got this in the bag. So, there it is, and it's gone. That was a wasted Terastal. Yeah, anytime you pop your Terastal and it goes down in like 2 hits, that's what I would call a wasted Terastal. So they go ahead and they throw in the Ho-Oh here, which, it's like, okay, I'm a water type and you're throwing in a fire type? And with the Swords Dance boost, this thing is just absolutely ripping through their team so far. A lot of people, don't think about Hisui and Samurott being as good as it is. But anyway, so then here comes the Necrozma, and I'm like, okay, they're just throwing whatever at the wall and seeing what sticks at this point. So I go ahead and I pop the Ceaseless Edge, and there goes the Necrozma, plus it puts spikes on the field. So now not only is there Sticky Web on the board, there's spikes for them to fall into. Oh, so then they go ahead and they bring in the Solgaleo. And I just like, what? what kind of... You know what? Ceaseless Edge. I fully expected to live whatever it could do. But, yeah, it just goes down. This feels like someone who just... Okay, well, it almost went down. My apologies. So it pops a healing move, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Screw this. Ceaseless Edge one more time. And now it goes down. And I've got 3 layers of spikes on the board, so whatever comes in is going to get absolutely just poked to pieces. And then here comes the Regigigas, which I love it shiny with the blue instead of the yellow. It just looks so good. Now, Regigigas, if you can get these going in double battles, they are absolutely brutal. But, again, this Hisuian Samurott has just, I mean, it is just ripping through these guys like tissue paper. I believe now all they have left is their Deoxys Speed, which comes in and eats, eats not only a speed drop on top of its paralysis, but it eats spikes damage. So, I just go ahead, it's like Ceaseless Edge, we'll finish it off, let's not play around. And it missed. And then they get paralyzed. So, it's like, okay, no, we're doing this again. And they just DC. But thank you, Dan. Thank you for the battle. All right, so moving here onto the team breakdown. Again, this was submitted by regular viewer Justin. And so what he originally suggested was like Granbull, Hydrapple, Zebstrika, Toucanon, Galvantula. And he originally, as I said, had Kingdra, but I switched it out for Hisuian Samurott. Now, this one does not have the same moves as what I have like on the game, but I'll get to that in a moment. So, the Granbull, I was running with the ability Quick Feet, which, if I can get to pull up here, yeah. If this Pokemon is status, its speed is 1.5 times, ignores the speed drop from paralysis. There is no item to, like, paralyze your Pokemon, so I had to go with the Toxic Orb. So it's got Play Rough, Body Slam, Protect, and Facade. And I ran Max Attack and Max Speed, well, nearly Max Speed, with a little bit into its special defense. Now, the thought was, if I go ahead and, like, if I can get it out there first, hit the Protect, then I could activate the Toxic Orb, which would give me the Quick Feet, and I was using the Toucanon to try and speed it up. So we've also got here the Hydrapple, Leftovers, Super Sweet Syrup, because that's the better option, Substitute Fickle Beam, Giga Drain, Nasty Plot, Max Health, Max Special Attack. I really wanted to, utilize its special attack stat to get, some really good Fickle Beam, shots and really good Giga Drain hits. And of course, you pop the Substitute and then the Nasty Plot afterwards, and as long as you're faster, you can just go to town like laying waste. And that Super Sweet Syrup makes it so that way, like, its stuff hits because it lowers the evasiveness. The Hisuian Samurott here has the moves Sword Dance, Razor Shell, Sucker Punch, and an Aqua Cutter. I could not get Aqua Cutter on it because you could only get it through breeding and the only way you could get it through breeding was to breed another one that has it already. So I'm assuming it was an event move that one of them had, because everything else that can learn it cannot breed with the Samurott line. So I went ahead and switched it out for Ceaseless Edge, which honestly I think worked out far, far better. Now moving on here, we've got and it's got Salac Berry, so when it got down super low, because I had Max Attack, Max Speed, a little bit in Special Defense. The idea was, when it got down to that, critical point, the Salac Berry would activate and give me that speed boost to make me faster than whatever else was on the board. Moving on here, we've also got the Zebstrika, Now, when he also sent me the, I'll get to this in a minute, but we've got Life Orb, Lightning Rod, and I made a mistake by going with all electric moves because I had a few matches where I couldn't do anything. Like, the only thing I could do was agility and hope for the best, because I also gave it Terra Flying. And the idea was, like, you know, to make it immune to ground, which, mind you, that gave me a weakness to ice and rock, but, you know, the idea was, you know, you bring it in, you bait out the ground type attacks and pop it into Terra Flying and, you know, go from there. But I might need, but I could probably change this up. I want max special attack, max speed, a little bit into special defense. Because again, Thunderbolt. Now Volt Switch is actually a, if I remember correctly, I believe it's an actual physical move. But Thunderbolt, Discharge, you know, agility to get some speed. Zeb Striker really wasn't as effective as I would have hoped. Moving on here to the Two Cannon, which leftovers, Keen Eye to keep it from having its stats dropped. This is a less of a support and more of a mixed like support attack. We got Drill Peck, Roost, U-Turn, Tailwind. The plan really was to try and, like, after the Galvantula was like wiped off the board, bring this out, pop the Tailwind, hit him with U-Turn, and go from there. But it did get some use as an actual attacker. But max HP, max special defense, a little bit into attack. I really wanted this thing to be able to eat hits and stay on the board, at least long enough to do the Tailwind U-Turn. And then finally, the Galvantula, which we called ours Spidar. Once again, if you know, you know. When Justin submitted the team upon suggestion, he originally had this as Terra Ground, but that seemed kind of mildly pointless because Galvantula, okay, Focus Sash, Compound Eyes to give you the extra boosted accuracy, Bug Buzz, Sticky Web, Thunder, and Thunder Wave. Of course, obviously Thunder Wave to, really cripple the faster, the faster mons, or just anything in general that was susceptible. And, as you saw in the first match, absolutely led to a salty DC, so, I'll take it. But Sticky Web to lower the speed of the stuff that can come in that's, ground contact, so, flyers, of course, and levitators don't get affected by Sticky Web. And then the Bug Buzz and Thunder were just to kind of give some coverage attack, so that way once it did its job of either setting up the Sticky Web or the Thunder Wave, or both in some cases, I could deal some damage before it was all the way out. And of course went with max special attack, max speed, a little bit into special defense, because even if it was able to get its web and wave up, it's still, that thing still hits like a truck. But yeah, so that was the team. Now I wish I had brought over the team that had the Kingdra on it, so I could show you kind of what I was thinking with it. But unfortunately, I don't. So, but anyway, yeah. So that is the breakdown for the Justin Test team. Well, I said Justin Test, but the Justin suggested like team for the showcase. Thank you for watching the video. I'm glad y'all took some time out of your day to drop in and give it a quick view. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button, and if you really like it, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with any streams and videos that I have in the future. And have a nice rest of your day.